So in this session, we are going to be discussing mindfulness works at work. So in order to start this reflection, let us address the most important question. What is work? So if you have any ideas about what work is, please feel free to reflect on it. Please feel free to write it down. Please feel free to understand what work means. For some people, work is simply a job or an action you do in order to get certain financial benefit. And that is the most common definition of work. Second is something you create without maybe finance or any other associated things, just create out of your own skills, or you want to practice certain things. That is also kind of a definition of work. Some other definitions include a means to an end, absolutely, and is to realize, there is more definitions, which is wonderful to hear, is shared objectives, so learning and growing with others. Yeah, wonderful. That is another definition of work. We get caught up, quote unquote, work. And I've heard this many times, is I have work to do, or work is stressing me out, or work. I've heard this word a lot. And often I had a very interesting relationship with work. As in, I still don't know what the definition is. Is it making money, making a living? Is it creating things? Is it helping people? Is it a job? Is it something you do for fun? Is something which you play with work? Or does work have to be serious? Or does work have to be something which is assigned to you? So if you are assigning someone else some work to do, that means they have work to do. Can it be within us? So these are the many, many questions I have had. And yeah, it can be perceived as skill you are developing throughout your journey, an experience you are having. If you are fixing something at home, is that work? If you are doing chores at home or running errands, is that work? So there is this complex relationship. The idea of this is to make work as relatable as it is for you. So the things you do which help you grow is kind of what my definition of work is. So even if that is taking care of your family, and even if that is taking care of your mental health by prioritizing self-care rituals, that is work. If you are leading a corporate function, you are a CEO, CFO, that is work. If you are an employee, that is work. If you are a singer and practicing your art, that is work. And for me, there is the definition of the work, which we talked about, and what manifests is completely different. And then we kind of put work in a box. And by work in a box, I mean we say we do the work at certain times of the hours. So we say 9 to 5 is my work hours, or this is what I do for work. And we try to label it aside and kind of externalize the thing which is part of your life. Now, Obviously, the Industrial Revolution kind of gave the Western world this thing called work, which is a place where you go, do what you're told, and get rewarded based on the hours you put in. And it kind of worked. It kind of worked in a way for a while until people started to realize that there is another way to be engaged with work. There is different forms of work, and just being a person who just does the job which they're asked to do is not really fulfilling. And that is the bottom line, with a lot of people starting to realize that work in itself is changed and is changing, and we have to change according to it. So, what my intention with this practices is to highlight and maybe dive deeper into how we can make work. And for that, let us just dive into an aspect of work which is mindfulness. So how do we bring, or why do we need to bring mindfulness into workplace? And this is often the question I get asked when I do corporate trainings and seminars is, why do we need to talk about mindfulness? We are already busy, and there are many reasons. I often say the most important is, if you are mentally, physically well in a place, you produce better quality of outputs, and that is what all the organizations want: better outputs for customers, clients, etc. So in order to take care of your physical and mental wellness, your employees, your leaders, your teams have to work optimally, in flow, in resonance, supporting, growing together. And with mindfulness, we can bring in a lot of powerful techniques and skills that help us with that. So why would you not want your employees to be owners of their own mental well-being? Why would you not want your leaders to support the growth of people as well as the companies? The research and the theory and all the literature around this is absolutely clear that mindfulness has so much of an impact in employee retention, in return on investment, in overall wellness of the company, overall growth of the company. So there is so much research. But putting that aside, the main reason to develop a healthy culture of kindness, compassion, shared humanity, and making a place that is worth going to and experiencing and exploring. Most of us spend a lot of time in our workplaces. And what if we think differently? What if we can make that place a place you enjoy, a place you become happy and joyful in producing the things you do, place you want to be with the people you work with. 3/4 of your life, 3/4 of your waking life, in your working life, you are at a place. So why might as well appreciate it and bring joyfulness there and have fun. So these are the things I was thinking about when I was working in different companies. Is I felt it was very siloed, and the sense that there was this constant need of approval and shifting priorities and constant need to show what you are about. There is this culture of hustle. And I thought to myself, why can't we build a culture of equanimity in the workplace? And that is what I am trying to build with various different people and cultures and companies, is to bring in these aspects which helped me and helped a lot of us into companies so that they can grow and become force for flourishing and change. There is so many people out there who are currently just making ends meet through work. And what if this, even the making the ends meet, becomes something valuable, becomes something they look forward to? Wouldn't that change the way they reflect with work? And for a lot of people who are privileged enough to not be reliant on work to make and meet, or the work is really rewarding financially, yet they find themselves in stress, they find themselves in agony, they find themselves in pain. So my question is, you are getting what you want, yet you are unhappy. And that got me thinking, there is something missing. So my aim is to bring the skills and the techniques I've learned, and with the help of others, bring as much clarity into the workplace through mindfulness-based skills and techniques. So let us begin this practice, or this exercise if you choose to. So mindfulness can be a powerful way of adopting a state of loving kindness to both ourselves and others, and has significant benefits on how we handle stress. So this we know. So I invite you to look at these questions which I raised to you and maybe reflect, and being relaxed and present like you are right now, just noticing these questions, what comes up, write down some thoughts around it. So spend time reflecting on it, even during the practice, or maybe take it away and reflect, write down the goals around these. So first element in relation to your workday, and this could be not just your workday, it could be your any day, is intention. So spend time reflecting on your goals and your aspirations for work, and the work is defined as what you want to do with your life and how you can help. And with the intention, ask these 3 questions. What is most important to you? What do you value most? How might you be able to move more towards your values? So 3 questions. What is most important to you? What do you value most? And how would you be able to move towards that value? Towards your values. So now this can bring up all sorts of ideas in your head. So when I did this for the first time, things were a bit all over the place, shall I say. So what is most important to you? When I did this while I was working for big companies, most important to me was financial reward or promotions or getting to certain level or getting good feedback. Those were the material things which I was chasing. And over a while, over a long time of practicing, mindfulness and learning about the self, learning about psychology, started to understand that those were not my values. Those were values which were given to me or I've borrowed from others, because thinking that if I get these things, I will be happy. So I chased after money, status, designation, which is often comes up. So there are things like that. So I want you to just write down some of those things which is important to you in terms of work. And maybe if uh, work is not the important thing in your life right now, maybe you can just do this for your other life areas which you feel comfortable with or comfortable working. So what is most important to you? And reflect. And I want you to reflect in two areas. So one is short-term reflection. So what is important to you right now? And then one is long-term reflection. So you can just segregate your reflections into two. Asking these questions: what is most important to you? What do you value most? And how you will be able to move towards your values. And then you can start to fill out these short-term values and long-term values. And then you can start to draw a line between one and the other. And that is where you start to build your plan, your intentions. And this can be your first step in understanding mindfulness, understanding yourself, understanding awareness, understanding being who you are, what you can bring. So intention is the first step. And second step is attention. So think about how much attention you are giving to your work. So asking these questions can help you identify this area. So where is your balance between work and home life? Are you lacking focus and attempting to multitask? So a lot of times we balance work and home. And I have heard this many times when I was working for big companies, is to keep your work and home life separate. And it is not good to bring your home to your work and work to your home. And there is this balance to be struck. And in my opinion, if you look at it that way, if you start to clearly segregate your work and home life, what happens? It starts to have a bleeding effect, because you are so rigid in the way in which you are operating. So work becomes work and life becomes life. And sometimes work priorities may be more important, sometimes life priorities may be more important. And because you are consciously, rigidly saying that during work I don't think about life, or when I'm in my family time I don't think about work, often you cannot do those things. And many people have this bleeding effect of work bleeds over into the personal life, and that makes it frustrating for them, and their attention wanes, and then they start to overcompensate, and then that causes stress, and moreover lack of fulfillment, because they failed in what they set themselves a balance. And this balance, or this rigidity in balance, is counterintuitive. So people say you should create boundaries, etc. But that is more in the physical aspect. So more like you create boundary where you work, where you play, where you live, where you have food, etc. That is different. And mental boundaries are less so rigid. So what it is is we have to build resilience. We have to build attitudes of compassion, kindness, acceptance. We have to build those resources to be able to balance ourselves. And the balance comes not just from strict boundaries, it comes from acceptance, it comes from compassion, it comes from within. It comes from our space of well-being. So how much, and you may have noticed this yourself, so when you are free of doubts and worries and stresses, you have a wonderful time switching from tasks, from home life to work life. You feel in complete control and there is no need for any boundaries, and that is the kind of balance, equanimity. Being able to be with whatever is happening to you right now is what balance is. So that is what attention means for us, is to be able to bring our attention to this moment in whatever it is that we choose to do. So it also is linked with focus and our innate nature of trying to do more than one thing at a time, and it's called multitasking. And I just say it's multi-living because we live so many different lives at the same time. So we are trying to live many different lives because we create these identities for ourselves. We are a doctor, we are a father, we are a son, we are an employee, we are a coach, we are a student, we are a teacher, all those things. So what happens is when we start to multi-live, we end up losing focus. And even doing this session right now, I am thinking of other life priorities of mine instead of actually completely being here. And I know that is not true. You cannot completely be present for everything 100%. But majority of my focus should be here. And that is what we cultivate through these practices we will do. That is what we cultivate during the mindful meditation sessions, is to bring our mind kindly and compassionately to what we do right now. So that is what is attention. So write down the task you need to focus on tomorrow. So write down on the tasks which you want to focus on tomorrow. And this is an important exercise. So often we do tasks for today. And it is also okay to list down what you need to do, but this focused task is to build yourself up for those tasks which you think are important for tomorrow. And then when you get there, when you are with intention, with the attention you will bring, you'll have a better time to focus on these things. And the third thing about mindfulness at work is attitudes. And this is my favorite topic because attitudes is what makes us. Our attitude to a certain situation is what makes us thrive, flourish, suffer, have pain, etc. So a workplace of kindness and compassion and curiosity is a place you can flourish and thrive. And it's more conducive to growth. And this is without a fact of an iota of a doubt that this is completely proven. And gone are the days where you need to suffer at work to be able to show progress. And this myth which has been propagating for the best part of, since we started going into offices, is that you have to suffer or you have to show pain in order to grow, is completely different. Positive psychology and mindfulness-based positive psychology is clear. The absence of illness is not the presence of wellness. And what people thought was, if we get rid of all the just the negative aspects of work, like um, good lighting, good air conditioning, and good environment, and we just give people food and water and coffee and tea, automatically people will be happy, and then why should they be able to suffer? But that is not the case. To actively promote well-being, you have to do things at the workplace. You have to make it a place, and this is where the leaders and and uh, and the heads of companies need to be more mindful, and I use the word with a capital M, in cultivating mindfulness for themselves, and to be able to give that space to everyone, welcoming everyone with the attitudes of acceptance, loving kindness, gratitude, and compassion. And these have been the foundations of all my teachings and all my work with people and companies, is to bring these attitudes, ingrain it within the value system, so that when it comes to understanding people, we have a different approach. We have an approach of everyone has something to offer, rather than if you don't fit in our box, you don't have anything to offer. And this is again a very pervasive angle of company culture, which has been part of and is still going on. A lot of companies still do this, where they expect people to conform to the dominating norm then and there, rather than creating a culture where everybody has an opinion, can be shared, is welcome and supported, encouraged. So a lot of times it is often sidelined as, oh, we don't do this here. This is not a place where we show kindness. We have to be ruthless. Number of times I've heard in big companies, one of the biggest companies in the globe, which I used to work for, the manager once told me, "You are too nice. Stop being so nice." At that time, I felt embarrassed, and I was not able to show the necessary traits which they wanted to see. They wanted to see a warrior mentality where you are fighting through negotiations, etc. And being nice was considered bad. And that is what I mentioned. This is still happening. I went to a law firm the other day, and I was talking about mindfulness, and the lawyer who I was speaking to said, "Oh, please don't spread this positivity and stress-free environment in my company, because I want all of my employees to be stressed and worried." And he said it with such gusto that I felt, wow, that's how people are treating work nowadays. And that actually made me double down on what I'm doing right now, because that needs to stop. So people thinking, oh, this is just a old way of thinking and nobody does it. Even right now, people want their employees to be stressed. People want their employees to be constantly in friction, because they believe that that creates competition, and that promotes wellness, and that promotes certain cultures which is supportive. So that is That is what it is. So we're trying to build a place of kindness, compassion, and curiosity, and it is what it is. So we understand, and if you are leaders of companies and you're listening to this, you should be asking yourself, how could you make this happen? How could you change this? How can you help bring these aspects? Write down some immediate steps you could take tomorrow to improve your own and others' environment and to foster this kind of workplace where everyone can thrive. So, in my book, Mindfulness Works at Work, I basically tell about 5 key strategies to counteract skepticism and resistance. So, one of the main ones is education and awareness building. So, one of the most effective strategies is to educate the workforce about science behind mindfulness. A lot of people are still believing this old narrative where you have to be stressed to be able to perform at your best. Yes, stress is important, and I'm not denying the fact that you do better work when you have the stress to take action. But constant stress is actually not conducive for any work atmosphere. And do not let the corporate minds fool you with this. So if you are feeling constantly stressed at work, it is not good. And your employers, your companies should understand this fact that continuous stress is not healthy, and it is not something an employee, person who works for someone, actively challenges and gets things to change. It has to come from leadership. It has to come from people who are interested in the bottom line and profits and shareholders. And when we understand that having these ideas implemented in company can drive improvement in sales, drive improvement in profits, drive improvement within the bottom line, that is when people start to take action. A lot of companies have done this. HSBC have done this. Google have done this. So there are so many good companies which have invested, and it's not big investments as well, invested in the wellness space. So I encourage you to challenge your employers, your companies, and making a company that works for you as well as you work for it, because you are giving your time in return for money, and you are also giving your most important other valuable skill, which is your ideas, your thought processes, your humanness. So the other way to encourage and talk about this more is to start to customize approaches for different companies. So this may be one size does not fit all, and not just one meditation can fix all companies. If that was the case, then I think all companies would be the best places to work. We don't have that. I think each company has its own uniqueness in how they operate and what they need and what is valuable for them and how they work with people. So a unique way of incorporating mindfulness is also important. And these are the ways in which you can start to bring in integrating mindfulness into individual practices and organizational cultures. So journey is a lifelong journey, And that's the idea. There is no just a magic mindfulness pill you can take. It is a practice which is lifelong. It is continuing, and it will continue until we it'll continue until forever, because this is the point. It is not about a destination, it's the journey. So we looked at a few activities and hope this was a useful session in terms of reflecting on what mindfulness means at work, in the workplace, and I invite you to dive deeper into your own attitudes to work and how you can bring a more valuable, useful community of work. So I mentioned there are 25 different things you can do in the workplace, or 25 things you can engage with. So in order to bring a better understanding of mindfulness in the work, first, start your day with mindfulness. Few minutes of meditation, set a positive and focused tone. Secondly, practice deep breathing. Incorporate deep breathing exercises throughout your day. Setting intentions. Start your workday with clear intentions. Mindfulness intention settings for what we want to achieve, just like what we did the exercise today. 4, take regular breaks. Schedule short mindful breaks to reset your mind and prevent burnout. This is important. We don't take enough breaks. I know we do take breaks at work where we go to the coffee place and chat about work. But this is more about taking intentional breaks, doing something you love. Take your favorite video game, take your favorite game with you to work. There is no reason why people shouldn't have fun at work. So do something fun to reset some of that. And mindful listening practices, so being kind to the people you are working with. Practice active listening in meetings. We will do some of those exercises. Staying present, or bringing awareness to the present moment through different aspects, especially when you're caught up in something you're doing. Body scan meditation. Mindful eating, so taking mindful lunches and dinners depending on where you work. Gratitude practice within work, so writing a gratitude journal for the work, so you can keep the gratitude journal at work and you do it when you reach work and when you leave work. And this is often a good place to start, because a lot of people don't want to think about work after they finish work. So having a gratitude journal at your desk, lifesaver. And taking mindful walks, practicing visualization, and maybe even, if it's possible for you, to take some digital detox. And I don't like the word detox because it just says like it's something getting rid of a toxin. It's not toxins. So digital minimalism, or starting to rely less on digital aspects of life, phones, computers, etc. Reminders, setting reminders. It prompt mindfulness throughout the day. Practicing positive affirmations. We will do some of that. Practicing reflective journaling. Practicing mindful transition. So take a moment to breathe and reset when transitioning between tasks and meetings. And this is often a very important skill. We hurriedly go into the next meeting and then we take probably 10 minutes to reorient, etc. So taking time in between the transition. Practicing empathy. compassion towards your colleagues who are similar in journey to you. Maybe different journey, but the worries, the stresses are similar. They are also wanting the best for themselves. We can do mindful goal setting, ensuring that you are hydrated, very important at work. Practicing light movement or mini yoga, chair yoga, tai chi, qigong, any of those movement practices within your workday. And even if your work provides it, wonderful, get involved. And attending organizational events, which may be like someone like me who is conducting a mindfulness workshop, just attend, see what's what, see what you can take away from it, learn, maybe even contribute. Because you are more important than you think. You can shape the realities of your company by giving valuable feedback and input in ways you would like to be flourishing within that organization. And creating an environment which minimizes distractions. So I know there is this stereotype of cluttered desk, cluttered mind. Yes, to a certain extent, but there are people who like me, for example, who have ADD, inattentive, and I think for me, keeping a clear desk only lasts for a certain time, and then after that it clutters. So it is part of who I am. So depending on who you are, making sure you have limited distractions, practicing self-compassion, which we'll do end of day reflection. We'll do the most important thing is to keep the most important thing, which is consistent practice. And that's how you change your relationship with work. And that is what I have to talk about in this introduction on mindfulness works at work. So thank you for listening. And in the next session, deeper into different methods, we'll dive into mindset, we'll dive into how to build momentum. So thank you for part of this, and hope you took something away, and hope you learn from it, hope you bring mindfulness to places you work.